Mai venim cu cineva și să dărâmăm, să tăiem, să facem ceva. Gâtul ăsta iese niște șerpi, niște arde cum să fie flori.
Noi acum zilele noastre, Doamne, apără și păzește, nu ne lăsa, Doamne. Eu l-am văzut pe internet, chiar n-am putut să dorm azi noapte, că m-am cutremurat când am văzut așa ceva.
Now, while the statue does not represent Satan, that person was not very far off the mark because it represents socialism. I guess it's as close as you can get to hell on earth. So the author depicted the body of Comrade Lenin, and from his head comes 7 snake-like roses. The statue is called the Hydra, and it wants to represent that after the fall of communism, which is depicted through, I guess, like the symbolic decapitation of Lenin, many other socialist groups spawned. And it's actually referring to Romania's history that after the death of the dictator, which is Comrade Nicolae Ceausescu, you had the Social Democrats, and their symbol was a rose. In fact, the rose is actually viewed as a symbol of socialism even today. If you go on Twitter, it's either the black fist. It used to be the red fist, by the way, but now it got racialized due to identity politics. And it also used to be the rose, right? So this is what the statue represents. It's called the Hydra. It's basically like, even though Lenin was defeated and everyone understands that what he did was evil, the evil continued, right? Like you can't just stop socialism. Like you cut off one head and 7 others grow in its place. This is why when I keep saying, like, when I was young and I experienced communism, many people go, it's like, how old were you? You know, didn't the dictator die when you were 3 years old? And the answer is yes, but as you can see depicted in the statue, the Social Democrats carried on the legacy. So it didn't happen overnight. Like, freedom didn't come overnight. It actually required a long transition period where you had more freedoms, but a lot of the old communist policies and a lot of the ways and the ideology, things don't just die. Like, things that have existed for more than 30 or 40 years don't just die overnight because you have the revolution. Anyway, right, this is in my town, and this particular work of art doesn't seem to sit well with many of my compatriots. And as you saw, it went even to, like, people kicking and trying their best in order to tear down the statue. And from what I understand, the author himself is amused by this. The city hall probably not so much, because I think they have to maintain it due to the fact that it's in a public place. Now, the reason I made the video is, number one, for comedy purposes, right? Like, I want you guys to see how different things are in Romania. And this is the second reason that I made it, is just so that you can actually witness the major cultural difference that exists between Eastern Europe and Western Europe. See, this is why it's very insulting when you have identity politics and people say Europeans or people say white people. It's insulting in the same way that if you say they all look alike. The cultures are, like, so different. In fact, that I would say it's not one Europe, there's 5 Europes. You have Northern, Western, Southern, Eastern, and United Kingdom. Like, all of these are different Europes with different cultures, different traditions, different ways of thinking. And when you look at American identity politics, because that's what it's coming from, it's from the Anglosphere, they completely erase all of this individuality between nations. They completely erase all of these cultural behaviors. Because if you were to put this statue in Germany, or if you were to put this statue in the United Kingdom, surely, you know, you may still have people attacking it, but for different ideological reasons. And more importantly, they would never cross themselves, right? They would never be like, oh, Lord, protect us. Do not abandon us in our hour of need, right? Like, seeing people in front of a statue, which probably it wouldn't even frighten people in the UK, wouldn't even frighten people in Germany. But here, like, legitimately, these old ladies are actually scared. Like, they are actually terrified of the statue, which, by the way, like for me, who like to watch a lot of horror movies and like to read Lovecraftian stuff, this doesn't even register on something that would be even remotely scary. Like it's not even, from a scale of 1 to 10, I wouldn't even call it a 2. But like the Romanian people are, how should I say, like they don't go online as much. They don't watch as many American movies. So like for them, this is horrifying. This is absolutely something coming up from a nightmare, right? And it's interesting because in our country, it's the opposite. Like things that are sexual in nature, right? So like sex on TV and stuff like that, absolutely no problem. Like the other day I was watching a reality show and they had like women in bikinis dancing and they were like gorgeous, 10 out of 10 role models. Supermodel, sorry. Like 10 out of 10 supermodel, big plump ass, and they were just covered by a bikini. National television at 5 p.m. No one has a problem with that. The moment you have some violence, the moment you have like a little bit of violence or something of a little horror, then everyone freaks out. This goes to show why I find it always bizarre. Like my mind just cannot perceive the American censorship when they talk about the modern audience. When they're talking about, it's like, oh, we don't like fan service in anime. Oh, like this is too much. Sexismus, misogynismus, bigotrismus, so on and so forth. Like my Romanian brain just can't rationalize that. Like I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Right? Because again, like I come from a completely different culture. Like when I hear that, it's like online shit. Like that can't possibly exist in the real world. Like no one can possibly have the same arguments in the real world. Case in point, if you follow what's going on the internet right now, Tifa's controversy. Like she was showing cleavage and then the corporation decided to cover her up by putting a shirt. And people on Twitter goes like, well, she was 16. She was 16. What the fuck? It's like, okay, so it's like it wasn't pornographic. She wasn't wearing a BDSM suit. Like, what the fuck? Like my brain just can't comprehend even where you're coming from with that argument. Like I can't even understand. Like how could you even possibly remotely think that? Like not even with 50 hours on the toilet with increased brain activity, you would still not be able to conduct such a reasoning in order to justify. It's like why we need to censor. And this is like when they say for modern audience when it comes to international products, because what is offensive for one country is definitely not offensive for another. Vice versa. I mean, there's a lot of things that are offensive for Romanians, and people in the US wouldn't give a fuck. There was like a TikTok video. I'll probably make a video about it because it was hilarious. It was this American teacher which went to France in order to educate the children of France about the civil rights movement. Like already a big red flag right there. No, why are you like? Why would they care? They're in France. You're from half the world away. They have other cultural things, other history, other issues. And she was shocked that the kids use the N-word. And again, it's like they're in France. Like what? Why would they have to import American sensibilities? Like there are stuff that are offensive in France. Why would that be offensive in America? Like for example, with this statue, right? Like Romanians apparently are very offended by it. Do you honestly think that if I take it to America and I see people not getting offended by it, like I should get upset? It's like, why aren't you offended by our statue? Isn't it offensive? It's Satan. Why doesn't... I think like even the American evangelists wouldn't care. Would they? Right? Like, I mean, yeah, sure, it's a statue that's grotesque, but like that's the point. My thing is, like, if you really wanted to get people to stop reacting this way, would be to just have a plaque instated where it explains what the statue means. Because, again, like, a lot of these individuals don't know what the statue means. And why should they? Like, you're going in a public place and all of a sudden you see this atrocity. You're not going to know what the artist thought and what he wanted to represent. So, like, the best thing would be to actually put a plaque where you're explaining, okay, the statue represents the evils of communism and this is why it's depicted like that. And then many people would understand and they would be, okay, so this is the symbolism. It's got nothing to do with Satan. I do not need to call on the Lord for help right now. I'll, it's not an emergency. It's not a 911. I will talk to him tomorrow or I'll talk to him at church. So people can stay calm. So yeah, like this would be my solution for this problem. Is to explain to people what it is, right? It's not that, oh my god, people are uneducated. It's like, well, how the fuck are they supposed to know? Right? Like the lady that goes home taking care of her grandkids and then takes a walk in the park. Like, she's not going to read on what new statues have been erected and what their history and legacy are. Makes sense that she would just say, oh, okay, well, what the hell is this? It's El Diablo. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.